Nikkei Asia News Roundup
with Jada and Brian. Welcome to the Nikkei Asia News Roundup with your hosts Jada and Brian,
bringing you the latest updates and insights on the dynamic world of Asia and more.
Now let's delve into the headlines. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.
Geothermal power development is heating up in Indonesia as local and Japanese companies boost plant capacity amid government plans to improve energy self-sufficiency by capitalizing on the world's second largest geothermal reserves.
Thailand Central Retail will focus on store expansion in Vietnam over the next 3 years, as weak consumer sentiment weighs on the group's domestic businesses.
The yuan has weakened against a wide range of global currencies, except the dollar, in a sign that Beijing may be trying to boost its export competitiveness with trade partners other than the U.S.
A teacher hiring scandal in India has cast a spotlight on the frenzied race among the country's younger people to grab government jobs, offering what they hope will be lifelong employment.
Afghanistan's Taliban government has terminated a 2-year-old oil extraction and development contract with a Chinese company due to alleged violations of contractual obligations, with some experts believing the move to be a sign of the economic difficulties the Kabul regime faces.
Once home to the late Geoffrey Bawa, Sri Lanka's most celebrated architect, the small coastal town of Bentota, 86 kilometers south of Colombo, is now one of the island's top art and design destinations. Now moving on to the next segment.
How red tape amplified China's rare earth disruptions. China's export controls on rare earths are creating greater bottlenecks than expected as officials struggle to process an influx of applications. Unexpected roadblocks include confusion related to export codes and complications confirming the exact composition of shipments of items such as high-performance magnets. Beijing in April added 7 rare earths and associated products, like high-performance magnets, to its dual-use export license system after the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump slapped punitive tariffs on the country. The controls have proved a potent tool in the trade showdown, demonstrating the West's reliance on China for the critical minerals and components needed for an array of modern technology, including electric vehicles, wind turbine generators, and fighter jets. But statements from industry sources suggest Beijing was unprepared for the complexity of enforcing the controls.
Phuket's luxury housing market booms as developers eye overseas buyers. Premium housing developments are on the rise in a Thai resort getaway, following a regional trend to counter looming economic slowdowns. Thai real estate giant Ananda Development has launched an ambitious project to build a sprawling residential community on the resort island of Phuket, targeting wealthy buyers. The villa will be developed on 890,000 square meters of land. Housing will be available starting as early as 2026, and luxury homes will start at 80 million baht, or $2.43 million. Other real estate firms plan to develop upmarket homes in the area. Ananda has established a track record in building condominiums. This marks the company's first time embarking on a development over a large area. Singapore's Banyang Group is also developing about 6,000 units of luxury housing in Phuket, including both detached homes and condos. Strong demand has prompted more developers to target wealthy foreigners looking for second homes.
And now for news highlights. In this episode, Jada and I have a discussion about a recent article that has particularly captured our attention.
And today we like to talk about a story that focuses on one airport in Southeast Asia, which is Changi Airport.
Singapore's airport, which I will admit I've never been to.
Me neither.
And now, after reading this, I feel like I'm missing out.
I know. I mean, it is famous for indoor, I think the world's biggest?
The world's biggest indoor waterfall.
And I've seen so many pictures, and it's basically like a luxury mall.
Yeah, and I've heard people who transfer there saying it's one of the best transfer airports as well. And that's part of its reputation because the airport was completed in 1981. It was built on a former Royal Air Force site. And I think it was Lee Kuan Yew or other leaders of Singapore said after it was built, it was the best investment they ever made.
Oh, yeah, I think it was, what was that? I forgot what the amount was. But...
It's the equivalent today of $1.5 billion. And now it's estimated to, I have the stats here, I wrote it down because they're so good. It's estimated to contribute to 5% of the entire country's GDP, and it employs thousands of people. And the big deal is they're planning a massive expansion.
Yeah, so there's another graph. So currently it has 4 terminals, and then a number of passengers is a little under 68 million. So that's the 4th busiest in the world.
Yeah, annual passengers. To put that in perspective, Dubai's airport, Heathrow, Seoul, Incheon, Amsterdam, Paris, Charles de Gaulle is there. They're all up there. But Singapore's number 4 on the list.
Yeah. And the major, upgrade is that they're going to expand the number of terminals and the number of runways.
There's currently 2, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And
the runways,
there is a 3rd technically, but it's used for military use only. They want to make that the 3rd runway.
Yes, they're going to open it up to commercial use,
And this is the great part of the story that it's not it looks interactive, but the story is very graphic, intense in a very good way because it shows what the expansion is going to look like. And this new Terminal 5 is huge. It looks like the other 4 terminals combined in size.
Yeah. And I think the plan is to open it up sometime in the 2030s.
Yeah, they're aiming for like the 2035, somewhere around there. It might change because that's the other aspect of the story is that sometimes plans change. And the one that caused a lot of change was the COVID outbreak. And it affected travel immensely. And they were going to expand, but actually the COVID outbreak put that on pause, and they rethought a lot of things about the new expansion plan.
Yeah, because they've implemented those lessons from COVID, it seems like, right?
Yeah, and one of them is that it's not necessarily modular, but that's the thought I had when I was reading it, is that once this is completed, if there is something like there could be a storm, something going on geopolitically, they can shut down parts of the airport and still have it function just fine. Yeah. Which is one of the lessons they learned.
One of the interesting parts, I think, of this upgrade is that they're going to have tunnels, underground tunnels, it seems like. So you can, I guess, move between terminals seamlessly underground.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. The bigger the airports get, the more time it takes to travel places. And it takes a long time. I remember one airport I was at, the bus from Terminal 1 to Terminal 3, I swear it took a half an hour. And like, how big is this airport?
Yeah.
And so that is one of the major things I think airports focus on because the bigger the planes, the bigger the airports, the more cumbersome it is to get around. But that's the big goal is because Singapore has been a major hub for this. That's one of its big successes because Singapore is not a big country.
No.
I did the math a little bit, but the airport itself takes up a significant percentage of the entire country's landmass.
Yeah. I mean, considering it's such a small city-state. But this upgrade is coming at a good timing, it seems, because passenger numbers in the region, in the Asia-Pacific region, is the fastest growing aviation market, and in terms of passenger numbers, it's also surging, driven by emerging economies like Vietnam, Indonesia, and also China and India.
And their airports, that's one of the other things, is there's a bit of, not necessarily a worry, but a concern that right now Hong Kong and Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur and all those places are doing well as airports as well, but they could take a lot of the business away from Singapore if Singapore doesn't keep on improving itself.
So the article actually, towards the end, it also points out a potential problem in the future, and it's that some budget carriers could face issues, operating from Changi due to the cost. And we've seen Jetstar Asia actually end its service.
Yeah, Jetstar's ending its service this month of a lot of major Asian routes. It's just that's it, and it flies out of Singapore. That's one of its major bases of operations. So they have to be careful about places or about airlines changing on a whim. But if you have an airport that is extremely reliable, that's another selling point.
Yeah, true. And that brings us to the close of today's episode.
We look forward to having you join up again for the next edition of the Nikkei Asia News Roundup.
Stay informed, stay curious. Until next time, I'm Jada.
And I'm Brian. See you again, and take care. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.